What's going on, world? Your man, Mr. Mac, here with allhiphop.com. I'd like to welcome you to the Mechanism. I'm sitting here with a dude you probably don't know, but whose work you're going to get real familiar with very fast. This is the one and only Bryan Stanley. Is it cool to call you a documentarian?
I'm
Is
not
that the
sure.
proper term?
I'm not. Yes, I think it is, but I'm not sure if I could get that credit just yet. I think.
Well,
I mean, when I'm done, I get a couple more under my belt. I think I'll be more comfortable accepting the term then.
I mean, but you are whatever you. I mean, you've already done it. For the people who aren't familiar, we're talking about a documentary on Reasonable Doubt.
Absolutely.
Their anniversary is coming up, and
Definitely.
From what I understand, you've managed to speak to everyone.
Absolutely, yes.
Who did you get that people would not be familiar with? Because the stories, people go after this story a lot. It's a classic album, everybody's familiar. Who did you manage to get a hold of? Who did you knew that you would need to speak to make this one stand out from the other ones that have been done?
I felt like just speaking to everybody that was involved with it. You know what I'm saying? From just every aspect of the album, creating the album, and every aspect of even samples from the album. You know what I'm saying? That was really, I thought it was just a different angle I took.
But it is a classic.
Absolutely.
I think that's undeniable at this
Absolutely.
point. We're 20 plus years after the fact, and it's still a part of the conversation. Whenever you mention classics, it's one of the albums that has to come up. But there are others. There are others that are reaching that 20-year point. Woo, Illmatic.
Definitely.
I mean, Outcast.
I don't mean to cut you. There's so many that even made it 20th and didn't get like props. You know what I'm saying? Because in doing this, to be honest, like my goal is to do a docuseries on classic albums, not just Reasonable Doubt. You know what I'm saying? And like Fuji's Score, it's 20 years and nobody has bigged it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it hasn't gotten, and that's a classic album.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like you said, Outcast, ATLiens is coming up. It's not anniversary yet, but that's 20-year anniversary. Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, for Our Culture. These are classic albums, man.
Can't go
you know
without
what I'm saying? You can't. They molded and shifted the culture.
So what made you start with Reasonable Doubt?
Honestly, a few different angles. One was that because the anniversary was coming up, and I felt like for people to take, because what I want to do is I grew up in that era. Like I was a kid growing up, and these albums, I literally molded our culture. You know what I'm saying? And I think that for a lot of kids nowadays, they don't know anything about these albums. They ride and die hip hop, but they never heard Only Built for Cuban Links or Reasonable Doubt. You know what I'm saying?
Where do you think the disconnect comes from between the generations, where you have some of the older heads don't want to give the young stuff any light. The youngsters feel they don't need to know or don't have to, recognize these classics or even listen to them. Where do you think that especially since it's so accessible for both sides?
Absolutely. So I think personally the disconnect comes from, like, when we were growing up, our parents would say, you guys got it easy, man. I used to walk 10 miles to go get water to wash up before I go to school, like that type of thing, with your grandparents or whatever.
Right.
And we wasn't trying to hear that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's where the disconnect comes from, because even in one of the interviews, someone was saying that back then they would take 2 hours and record like 4 songs, because the studios wasn't accessible and we didn't have the money to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They didn't have the money to do it back then. So I think that the ease now, the older cats are more like, man, it's too easy. And when you really think about the internet and how easy it is to put your music out now, they didn't have that back then. You know what I'm saying? And the younger
you
kids
almost needed a deal.
Of course,
to come out.
you had to need a deal to come out. Think about it. Jay-Z was pushing. We speaking about Reasonable Doubt. He was pushing his music for years, and didn't get heard till that point when he actually got a deal to put out Reasonable Doubt.
So what was the biggest aha moment you got from the creative process in this? Like, oh wow, just something dawned on you. And do you is it a moment that you think your audience will get when they watch it?
Something dawned on me, like from an interview or from the documentary?
Yeah, just from the creative process in general.
Of the album, correct? Or of the documentary?
Or the documentary.
I'm actually just doing all the documentaries that I'm doing just as a fan of music, man. You know what I'm saying? So every moment is an aha moment. You know what I'm saying? And even though I've been in music a very long time, and a lot of these people are my peers and my friends, I think that it's great just for them to get their story heard. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, speaking on that, you do know a lot of the people that you were able to make personal phone calls.
Absolutely.
You didn't have to go looking for them.
All the phone calls actually on this specific album was personal phone calls.
Did you learn anything new about your friends in the process of doing this? Something that they said that, oh my God, I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, all of the people that's been involved in this are older than me. So, you know, like I came up on my come up knowing them and growing up with some, you know what I'm saying? One interesting point that was made in the documentary is Ski. He produced about 4 records on the album. He was telling me how Dead Presidents got made, and he was telling me the story how he went to, I think it was How Can I Be Down in Miami, and Nas had just dropped Illmatic, and he heard I think it was Whose World Is This?
Okay.
I think it was Whose World Is This? He said he heard, and that the beat just drove him away. You know what I'm saying? Like it blew him away rather. And he said he went home and just found an ill sample and made a beat and he said to test it, he had put Nas's vocals in it. Just to test it, to see if it's in the same lane, you know what I'm saying? And he called Jay. Yeah, he called Jay. Was like, yo, I got a joint for you. Come through. I need you to hear this joint. And you know, that's before email and beats and all that, right? So Jay came to his crib and he had played. And he said the beat came on crazy. And he said Nas's vocals came in. And he stopped. He was like, hold on. That ain't supposed to be in there. Let me take that out. And Jay was like, nah, leave it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how Dead Presidents was made.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? How
I'm
ill
not sure
that.
Jay wants anybody to know that.
I mean,
it's a good thing that didn't come out when they were beefing. That
right?
That would have been some different ammo.
You know what I mean?
I made it a hot line. I made it a hot song. I
Yeah.
made your whole song, man. Shut up. It would have been a little bit different. I figured the people who you interviewed, did you get a sense that they were more comfortable talking to you?
Yes, I definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are a few people on there that don't do interviews, and they were definitely like, "I'm only doing this because of you." You know what I mean? And I think even Jazz, I think that where he probably is in his life, and because of everything that probably took place, he probably wouldn't speak so freely on the album and the process of creating the album. And I think because of our personal relationship, he definitely was open to it. That's
gonna kind of spoil you for the next ones coming up, where the people you have. If you do one on Outcast, for example, those are all Atlanta heads. Like,
absolutely,
you didn't grow up with those dudes.
Nah, not at all. But I've worked with a couple of them before, and I've spoken to some of them just on business things. And I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm doing this more as a fan of music, a fan of the culture, more than anything else. So I'm just interested to learn just as much. You know what I'm saying? So either way, I think it'll be fun. And I think just, us being peers, I'll get them to open up.
Without giving us too much info, can you tell us what deeper meaning within Reasonable Doubt you think people are going to walk away with from this documentary? What is going to be the thing that makes the masses listen to this album all over again?
For me, and this is strictly my opinion, I feel like from my documentary, the way it showed teamwork and brotherhood, you know what I'm saying? I haven't really seen, and this is just off the top of my head, but I don't really remember another crew coming together and making such a strong movement like Rockefeller did in that time. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like, for example, I was listening to a Leo Cohen interview a few weeks ago, and he was saying that there's just no unity in hip hop anymore. You know what I'm saying? He was saying that when he started his 300, I know this is off subject, but when he was starting his company 300, he said one person that in his entire career called him and actually congratulated him on his success. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when people watch this documentary, they're gonna realize how important it is for teamwork and for unity and brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And just a family unit. Because Rockefeller back then was really just family. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it was, and they turned over the whole game. You know what I mean?
Only crew I can think to. I know. Well, there've always been crews. Native Tongues,
Absolutely,
Hit Squad,
absolutely.
Even Wu, but Wu was a group. So
Absolutely,
that's different from a crew.
No, definitely.
But I can agree that I've never seen that many different factions of a crew. Where
Absolutely.
Like Bleak had his own crew.
Exactly.
Beanie had his own crew, and same thing with the other dudes. You know what I mean? Cam.
Yeah.
You know, everybody seemed to have their own individual thing under this umbrella. So I definitely see where you're coming from. What's next, bro?
Well, I have a bunch of documentaries that I'm doing on on our culture. So it's just picking the next album and just really going at it full speed.
Should any of the other kinds of crews expect a call from you? Maybe
Absolutely.
The Big Dog Pit Bulls, or Rocksteady, or something like
Absolutely.
that.
Right now I'm doing the 90s era. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first season of these different documentaries, and then after that, I might go to the 80s or I might go to 2000s. You know what I'm saying? It's just the vibe, man. It's just the vibe. Wherever the vibe takes me, that's where we're gonna go with it.